Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I have been missing in action for a few days. No particular reason, just adjusting to the new procedure of getting onto YouTube, making videos, editing, uploading, etc. And I must say I'm having a brilliant time doing so. Um, as you know, I want to do a mixture of videos. I want to talk about topics that really I feel deeply. I want to talk about my personal life, and I want to do vlogs and all sorts of stuff, all sorts of cool stuff. Um, for today's one, I want to get back a little bit more to the roots of why I came on in the first place, which is to share more of my story. So another big question that has always sat with me, and I've always had to find myself explaining to new people that I meet, is about like my past friendships, and obviously it ties in with past relationships, as some of my past relationships included some of my friends. Um, so I do want to speak more about it, and just a quick disclaimer for myself, this is like really difficult for me. Um, Naturally, anybody who's experienced certain things will not just find it easy to start talking about it, not least because you know some of the people watching are the people that you are speaking about, some of the stories that you've never shared, and genuinely you've moved on. So, okay, I'm still stuck with some of the memories, I'm still living with some of the trauma, but for the most part, I'm trying my best to live a new life, to be renewed in spirit, to be happy and moving on. But like I said, it does come up in conversation. People always want to know, like, where are your high school friends? Where are the people who are supposed to be your tight knit group? And quite frankly, a lot of people get a bit nervous when they meet you and they see you haven't got your long term friends present. They tend to think it has something to do with you, and then trying to explain it is even more difficult because if you think about it, trying to tell a new person, well, basically, I suffered from really serious abuse and neglect growing up, and basically, most of the people I met in my teens and early 20s were part of it because they were part of a network, a cult, if you like, um, which took me a lot of hard work and a lot of pain and torture to actually get out of. So now that I'm out of the situation is now that I'm actually talking about it. So, where do I start? I will say most of the people that I became friends with, um, I basically was introduced to in the beginning. So I wasn't. By that, I mean, I obviously, naturally, a lot of people become friends with people their friends, their mothers are friends with, their fathers are friends with, or their cousins, or their extended family. So that's how it was in the beginning. So everybody I knew, when I was really small, I actually liked them a lot more than the people I ended up hanging out with in my team. Um, so they were from my local area, as you know, I'm from Brixton. So a lot of those young girls, when you're really small, you can't really tell if you're best friends or not. You can't really tell um, who likes you, who doesn't. You just go to each other's schools, you have a laugh, you talk about things you like to do, and you're just little kids, really. So I always held a lot of those in high esteem, and I think it's because they were present before everything went really bad for me, and I lost contact with them during some of the worst parts. So yeah, obviously shout out to them. We were all kids, but I didn't have a problem with them. And I did actually end up hanging out with some of them during my teens for like a short period of time. And actually, we had quite a bit of fun. And the only difficulties I have, socially speaking, is just because where I haven't shared my story with people, things crop up in our interactions that trigger me, affect me, and I can't always say like, look, I don't want to talk about that, I don't want to do that, I don't want to go here, I don't want to speak to that person because you don't know it, but they've done horrible things to me, or I've had a horrible experience there. So that's usually when some of the better friendships tend to die out, which again is another thing that inspired me to get on here and talk about my story because I have previously said I think a lot of people that I don't speak to much now, I don't speak to at all, they don't dislike me because we've never fallen out. It's either like there has been rumors spread about me by people from said cult, or they just didn't understand me. They just didn't get me. They didn't understand the not being so communicative by text, the not picking up the phone calls, the not turning up to events. I think a lot of people found it difficult to work out what was wrong with me, and I think I ended up giving off like that I didn't like people when that wasn't the case at all. So obviously that goes out to those people who have known me in the past and we didn't actually fall out and you never actually spoke to me about why you lost contact with me. It's mostly that. But there were some people that stuck around, and I tended to notice that the people who stuck around were very forceful. So they would turn up at my house, um, force me to spend time with them, were very loud or very confident people who would just assert themselves. And now I don't avoid those types of people, but I have learned that those types of people aren't always the best of friends. And it's not that they don't have the best intentions, it's just some of them just like pick you because they like to have a group around them. They like to have a crew and they like to be the bossiest one in the crew. And they like people who are a little bit less outspoken, a little bit less vocal because that way, they can tell each other in the group what to do. So I have been in some friendships like that, but I was in a one-on-one friendship with somebody um, that I was introduced to, and I'm telling you, from day one, I just got the worst vibe from this girl, and I met her. I think I've said this in a previous video, but I met her like 2 days before I was due to start my new primary school, and this was amidst the abuse that I was experiencing. And as soon as I got into the school, I was placed with her, like buddied up with her, because the teachers had already assumed that we were friends. But she started bullying me straight away. So nobody really noticed it. And at break time, she would call me fat, call me ugly, push me, punch me, kick me, laugh at me. And that went on for years. And that girl had a very close relationship with P. For some reason, I just feel like he knew that this girl was a bully, but she kind of thought, well, this is a way to control Asmara. I can use this girl to make Asmara do things that she doesn't want to do. That's to put it simply without going into some of the different scenarios and examples. So like I said, that went on for a long time and I was very uncomfortable on a daily basis being at school, being laughed at, being bullied, with her finding out things about me personally at home. She would literally go and take those stories to people at school. So like I would get weird looks and I would get people like side-eyeing me because they knew things about me that I'd never shared with them. And to this day, the girl doesn't have the guts to come forward and explain what she actually said to people and why and what she did. Even when I confronted her way after we had stopped being friends. And again, she had to give evidence in court. So, and I think rightly so, because I think I didn't hear what the line of questioning was, but I think in general people were concerned that her and her mother knew what happened to me very early on, but they didn't report it and they never like try to console me or have a conversation with me about it. So that friendship was very scary, and she ended up making Peter Ann decide the secondary school I wanted to go to. So I had entry exams at some schools, like 11 plus schools, and I was going through so much abuse at the time that I didn't share with people that I didn't end up getting into those schools, either because, and this is without going into too much detail about the exact scenarios, which I will do later on, but like I would be revising and then I'd be getting attacked or getting prevented from studying, and then on the day of the exam, I think he must have told one of the adjudicators of the exam, she needs me to stand here because she's always crying, she's always bursting into tears, something like that. And she ended up like staring at me through the whole of the exam for one in particular, and it was really bad, and I failed because I was so scared. She was like staring at me. And anyway, 2 days before I was due to start secondary school, I didn't have a school to go to. I think it was, yeah, and then this girl in particular, the one who had been bullying me, she turned around to P and said, I think she should come to the same school as me. And he was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And I previously said to P, look, if I don't want to go to the same school as this girl, she's absolutely horrible, but as I said, they were always in cahoots, and I couldn't understand it, but I understand it now. And so I ended up in secondary school with her, and I think she went and repeated the same behaviour, spoke to people about me behind my back, but she used to literally follow me around everywhere. She would force me to meet up with her in the morning, force me to walk with her after school, force me to eat lunch with her, force me to have breaks with her. And then during lessons, like when we were put in the same classes, because obviously, again, he would say, oh, that's her best friend, so you should put them together all the time. And because I think the schools had been warned that I had emotional problems, and I never spoke, and I was quite mute, they assumed that what this girl was saying was true. That she was telling them, look, she's my best friend. I basically speak on her behalf. Nobody understands what she's thinking because she only tells me, which wasn't true. And I always used to get placed next to her in class. So that went on for about 3 years. And every lesson we had together, she would be there talking to me during lessons, following me around, copying my work, copying my exams. I went for a lot, and eventually the school picked up on the fact that she actually wasn't a good friend, and they literally separated us. They literally, the teachers were like, every class you're in, together, we're separating you. And I ended up like, ending the friendship with her based on that. And yeah, I spoke a little bit on my TikTok about a particular story, about one of the incidents with her, which is just to highlight some of the things that went on. But yeah, in the end, this was by the age of about 15, the school picked up on it, and I was happy, I was glad because I didn't really speak up for myself much. And by the time people started to talk to me and I started to become more vocal, I think they realised what was going on. Um, and then there was another girl in school who befriended me. So, like from the first day of school, but this is the other girl that gave evidence in court. And I'm gonna keep this one short because I just wanted to introduce those two friendships. But there are a few other people who are not so relevant, but I've interacted with. So she befriended me on the first day of secondary school in year seven, and she was like very forceful. She's like, oh, I'm a hugger. I can see you don't hug people that much, and I just find it so weird. And she would force me to hug her, and she would follow me around at a break. And I did take to her in the end, and I did open up to her, and I got on with her. But again, I think the same sort of thing went on in terms of like her just befriending me because she was like, I just want a friend who's a bit like more timid than me. Um, that went on into our late teens. So after secondary school, she did a few things which was very, very mean, very horrible, which I'm not going to talk about in this video. But yeah, just a very altogether not very nice person in the end. But to begin with, she was very supportive, and she sat down with me a lot, and she explained to me, I've noticed that this other girl, Elle, as we call her, is very horrible to you. So after a couple of years of her coming around us and hearing the things that the girl was saying to me, um, by sort of like year nine, we started to discuss what was going on. She's like, you need to open up. What is going on with this girl? Because I've been watching her behavior towards you. She's literally a bully. She's literally absolutely disgusting towards you. So I did end up telling her not about the abuse, but about the fact that I didn't get on with her, and she used to force the friendship and follow me around. And there's some other reasons why that happened, mainly because P and Elle's mum had stopped talking by that time, so I wasn't made to go around her house as often. So the other girl, Kay, she picked up on it a lot. She's like, yeah, I don't think this is normal. So, she's like, we need to find a way to help you basically out of this friendship because you can see this girl basically follows you around all the time. Um, and me and the other girl, Elle, we hung out after school sometimes, and we had some other groups of friends, and it was all very like not good. It was all very not good. I had some decent conversations with Kay, and like I said, I managed to get out of that very, very toxic, abusive friendship that went on for 10 years. Um, it was very difficult. With Kay, I went on to be friends with her into my late teens when I had my daughter. And with Kay, she changed a lot. When I had my daughter, she changed towards me. When I got pregnant, I think. And although she said she wanted to be supportive, something in her, I think I know the reason, it's a bit personal to her, but something in her just couldn't be my friend anymore. And there were two other girls that we sort of hung out with, and they would just like talk about me behind my back all the time. They wouldn't invite me out. They stopped like returning my phone calls at a point. And in the end, when I was about 20 or 21, they just altogether stopped talking to me. So where I kept trying to contact them, like I'd have my daughter, I was at university, but I kept, calling them, and they used to like to get together and drink and that. And I'm obviously saying to them, look, I'm driving, I'm a mom, I'm breastfeeding, I can't be drinking, I can't be doing all of that. So obviously the nights out weren't really going their way because I couldn't be out with them doing what they were doing. But in the end, they just didn't. I was like, you know what? Let me stop forcing them by calling them to see whether they actually want to hang out with me. And then they literally were like not contacting me at all. Nothing to do with my daughter. Like they were there when she was born, but they never called me about her after that. They never wanted to see pictures. They never babysat her. They never wanted to spend any time with us, which I found very, very scary. So that just died, that whole friendship. Just, I mean, to this day, I don't have real answers except for the fact that after about a year of non-contact, at about the age of 21, 23, sorry, about the age of 22, 23, Kay called me out of the blue and was like, say something like, oh yeah, now I've started university because she started a little bit later than me. She's like, I've noticed that you're not that bad after all. And I'm like, whoa, you didn't even tell me you had an issue with me. But I'm assuming that the issue was probably surrounding the fact that, when people start university and university changes you from the first day you walk into the building, you just become a transformed person. That's the whole point. And I don't know whether they thought, you get your student loan, so you've got your extra money, you buy your little car, you've got your own little flat, you've got your baby, and they're still in the mentality that they were when they were 16. I think they just looked at it like I was somebody different. But then apparently she turned around and understood something, had a revelation that she didn't share with me, and I didn't bother to question it because I just thought this is so weird that you're doing this to me. It's like psychological mind games. So I thought you was never a friend to me because everything you've ever said about me, you've said behind my back. So that was really bad. That was a terrible friendship. And I had another friend in between that who was quite a decent girl. She supported me through my pregnancy and supported me early on with Marlon because she could see that it was difficult for me. So she was there for me. Um, and I don't really have much to say about her because I think she doesn't really understand why I cut contact with her. But the main reason was that she was a party girl, so she liked to go out every weekend. And after a point, it was weighing on me. Like I think I did about 8 months with her partying up and down, and I was just like, I can't manage. I can't keep up with this lifestyle. Um, so I had to kind of cut her off because she couldn't understand when I was saying no, I don't want to go out. So yeah, I became a bit of a homebody after that, and I just wanted to spend time with my daughter, to be honest. So yeah, that friendship, she has all rights to turn around and say that she doesn't like me because I obviously just cut a friendship with her. But that's a completely different person who's, as I said, not so relevant to these earlier friendships. And yeah, after the situation with Kay in my 20s, I was just like, I can't allow myself to get this close to another female who doesn't talk about their real feelings towards you. Like, they're not telling you whether they think you're a good person, a bad person, whether they like you, they don't like you, whether they like something you did or they don't like it. They just talk about you behind your back. So I was just like, whatever friendships I enter in again, they won't be like this. They're going to be something completely different. And I did make a friend with a neighbor, but we weren't close friends because she had an alcohol addiction. And I basically became her friend to just kind of support her with her children. So this was like late 20s. So I did leave her quite a few years before I made any friends again. Um, in between that time, I would just talk to like older women, like my neighbors who were elderly, retired. I would only just spend time with them because I always felt more comfortable with them. um, which I know that might be a bit strange, but it's highly recommendable because older ladies just get it. They don't judge you and they tell you how it is, just like it is, and they support you where they can. So those friendships worked out just fine for me while I got on with being a mum. But yeah, this girl who turned out to be an alcoholic, obviously everybody knows if you have a friend who's an alcoholic, they can never be 100% a friend to you. It's always a one-way thing because you're always needing to support them more than they're supporting you. But this girl, she tried her best in the beginning to support me, and to show me that she was a decent person. And I always took her as a sister. I always thought, you know what, if you didn't have the problems you have, you would be an absolutely amazing person. And she is an amazing person. It's just she struggled with alcohol, and alcohol makes her a monster. Um, and in the end, when she departed with her children, they went to live safely elsewhere, not not in care, might add, because as I said, she did take a lot of care to make sure her children were protected in the end. But they live with other family, and again, it's not my story to tell. It's just relevant because it's part of what happened to me. I just kind of distance myself from her because I'm like, our priorities are different. I'm a mother still on a daily basis, and you're now dealing with what you're dealing with, rehabilitation and whatever other drama comes with the alcohol and the drugs and everything. So unfortunately, we don't speak anymore, and that's as of about last year because I had to break it off. But she might call me again. She calls me from time to time, and we might sit and have a chat and a catch up, and it's always kind of the same old thing. And God bless her still, and I wish her all the best. But more so for their children, I'm more focused on the fact that they're safe, they're happy, and that was the basis of the friendship. Yeah, so now this is what prompted, as that friendship ended, this has prompted this more social media type thing. Obviously, everybody knows you're not really supposed to come on social media to look for friends. It is mainly business and it's mainly about your brand in a sense, but I think it's a safer network because you don't have to meet up with people. You don't have to give your address out, your personal details. You can just deal with things as and when they come. So I'm much more comfortable in this setting, and obviously moving into the law field, making acquaintances is a lot more easier. It's a lot, how can I say, a lot less drama, because you've got something in common which isn't just socializing. So, yeah, I think I'm in a safer place now, friendship-wise, and I do want to talk more about the individual incidents. But this video really is just for anyone who's wondering, because I think I've had some comments before with people saying, like, if you go through all of my posts, you scroll through all my social media posts, you'll barely ever see me with anyone. And the main reason is when I started my social media was just shortly after the court case happened, and I think the police kind of advised me not to enter into certain situations with people because obviously it's a major court case, it's a major thing, so you have to be very careful and ease yourself into that, protect yourself because again, I think they had noticed that everybody up until that point had been associated with the abuse, so yes, that is for anyone who was wondering. And I do want to talk more about those ladies, just allowing them the space if they are watching to come and speak for themselves. But if they don't, I'm going to let it rip because I'm pretty sure that what I concluded was right and what I concluded was not very good. So this is their chance once again, and I am a chance giver. But I think you'll find they won't say anything. So yeah, shout out to them. And thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I know this was a bit of an emotional one. It was for me too, so I'll be reflecting. If I don't come back on tomorrow, it's because I'm still marinating with what I've expressed on here, and it ain't a big deal, don't worry about it. And I'll be back either tomorrow or the day after. Catch me on TikTok live. I'm live daily at 9 p.m. So see you there. Bye.